but I got a DUI and I went to jail. This is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down. And hi, welcome. I am April, and today we're going to be talking about my spiritual awakening. Ugh. And that is very cringe to say on the internet, and it's taken me a long time to share this and post this. So here I am. Thank you if you're here, and subscribe if you want more of this kind of content. Okay, so where should I start? Well, for starters, I think that my whole life has been kind of a dark night of the soul. And I only say that because I had a pretty rough childhood, but I think I want to focus more on my tower moment. My tower moment was basically when everything underneath me got shaken up and, well, proceeded into a very dark period of my life. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. So, hang on. Well, it was 2017. I got accepted into a doctoral program. And I was so excited. I was like, yes, 5-6 years are going to pass no matter what. So I might as well just go for the doctorate. So I'm feeling really accomplished. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but nonetheless, I'm in it. I'm here for it. Between, we'll say February of 2017 until September 2017, my husband and I started to really grow apart. And we had been growing apart for years, by the way. And we were together for a total of 9 years. During those 6 months, I started to do everything by myself. I started to go to the movies by myself, go out to dinner by myself, go on hikes by myself. So I really started to live this solo life, very independent of him. And I was very sad. I was very sad the entire relationship. It was very emotionally abusive. And in some ways, it was a little bit of a relief that I could go do things on my own and not have him there. I started thinking about leaving him. I started thinking about divorce, but I just was like, I can't do that. Like, this is just not in me. I didn't get married to get divorced. In the back of my head, I had this thought of, well, let me just get the doctorate and then I'll leave him. This is where it gets funny. The universe, source, spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, decided, April, we're gonna make things a little quicker for you. So, and I'm laughing now because it was the best thing for me. So, whole relationship blows up about a month before my grad program started, and we're getting divorced. We're done. He moves out. I try to sublease the place. I move into a terrible situation, by the way. After the relationship ends, we start going through the divorce process, and it was a relatively easy divorce. It was very amicable, not saying that we were friendly, but it was nonetheless the end of the relationship at that point. Then I start grad school, and then my dad dies. So my dad dies October 18th, 2017, and I am now processing a divorce and grieving my dad at the same time, and in a doctoral program that is super, super, super demanding. And on top of that, I got denied my student loans for school, and so I had to work overtime. I had to work a lot of hours to pay for my tuition. It was hell. It was absolute hell. I was in survival mode. I was incredibly depressed, for a very good reason. And I was not really thriving while I was in grad school. I was there, but I wasn't there. I was turning in the papers. I was doing the assignments. I was doing all of the things, but with a heart that wasn't totally invested. I didn't take any time off from school. I powered through the whole thing. And it wasn't until 2019, and I'm not proud of this, but my drinking really got bad. And it was getting really bad probably immediately after my dad died. I feel like it's not like I did definitely cope through alcohol, and I was a party girl. So when I went out, I went out. I was a good time. I was never, I was never an angry drunk or a sad drunk or anything like that. And that's not really a qualifier, right? But in my mind, I was just a party girl, and I was having fun, and I was single for the first time, and I'm trying to meet people, and I came out as gay. And so I started dating women. And so everything was just new for me, but I was spiraling out of control. I was spiraling out of control so bad. And then 2019, I got a DUI. Hate to say it, but I got a DUI and I went to jail, and I was so ashamed. Felt like I was going to get kicked out of grad school. I was like, I've got to stop drinking. Like, I can't afford this. It was just so many things crashing down on me. So now I have an even bigger problem, and an expensive problem at that. And by the way, I definitely don't condone drinking and driving, and definitely seek help if that is something that you're struggling with. I didn't necessarily get sober that October of 2019, but it definitely was the seed that got planted in my mind that, like, I need to get sober. And even in my marriage, my drinking was a problem. And there's so many other things that were a problem in the marriage too, outside of my drinking. I wasn't the only one, by the way. I had several hospitalizations, like 2 or 3 hospitalizations where I overconsumed alcohol and could have died. And even in those moments, I didn't stop drinking. There was always a voice in my head that was like, you're going to get sober, April. It's just going to be when you're like 50. I truly believed that I was just young, having fun, and this was just part of, growing up and becoming responsible and becoming a professional in life, because that's what I grew up with. When I got the DUI, I was court-ordered alcohol treatment. I had to have an interlock device in my system or in my car for 2 years. And then I would say that I had a period of not drinking at this time. And I was really struggling with it because it was like I was being told to quit. I wanted to quit. I just didn't believe it. I didn't believe that I really could, and I was really struggling with it. I would have these really long periods of sobriety, like 4, 5, 6 months, maybe because I was forced and I was taking, UAs and had to go to AA meetings and all of these things. I was moving to Florida for my training, and I was like, this is going to be my time. I had this seed planted in the back of my head that, okay, I won't know anybody there. It's going to be so much easier to be sober at that time. And so I moved to Florida, and immediately after I got there, there was like 4 or 5 lesbians, and they all like adopted me. And I was like, whoa, this is so cool. Like, I have friends all of a sudden. So that was basically the next day after I got to Florida. I was already really grappling with my sobriety or drinking or whatever you wanted to call it at this point. Went back after a long night of partying after the bars, and you know what happens. Nothing good happens when you're up that late at night. And so people were bringing in drugs and things like that. And that's where I really was like, I think I'm done. I think I'm done with this. And so I felt uncomfortable about the night ending that way. And I ended up going back home. And then I was sober. I was sober for maybe a month. I think it was exactly a month. And then my neighbor came over and we drank, and I cried. I cried so hard. And then I was super embarrassed because I cried. And it's one of those things that I was like, I never cry when I'm drinking. And so that was really embarrassing. And then I stopped again for exactly a month. And then on that month anniversary, I decided to go out with another friend. We did get drunk, and then I stayed the night at her place. And then I didn't feel too good the next day, but lo and behold, that was actually the last time I ever drank. The thing is that my drinking was out of control. I could not control it. Every time I drank, I was obliterated. And I was so hungover for like 2-3 days after I would drink. And maybe this was like this dark night of the soul. I had these big illuminating tower moments where I'm going through divorce, my dad dies, I'm coming out as gay, and then I get denied my loans. I'm in grad school for 5-6 years. And then, so I'm trying to figure out who I am professionally. And then, like, I have this like drinking problem on top of it. This is where the spiritual awakening began. I finally decided I was done, that I needed to live up to my full potential. I didn't ever think that I was going to be happy in life. And I had felt that way since I was in high school, maybe even earlier. But there was a part of me when I was a kid that was so attracted to, I was always super into astrology. My mom was into tarot and psychics and mediums, and I was super interested in, parapsychology and all of these types of things. So, like, I always had like an interest, and then I'm a Pisces, and so I was like, what's the Pisces path? And so I was really resisting transformation for so many years, resisting it. I was living in a victim mentality. I grew up poor. My family didn't have a lot. My dad had a drug addiction. My parents were 16 when they had me. I was a victim. But something on October 8th, 2022, I decided to finally let go. And letting go of alcohol was my spiritual awakening. I just had this sense that I meant for more, that I'm not living up to my true purpose, and that I really just wanted peace. I was resisting peace all of these years. And I had been searching for something externally for a very long time. This was me in this victim mode. While I was in that mode, I was surrounded by people who also were in that victim mode, that also didn't believe in themselves, that also had this scarcity mindset. I was afraid. I had like a blame narrative going on internally, that things were happening to me a lot of the times. I really was surrendering to the next stage of my development when I let go of alcohol. And in fact, that is what the spiritual awakening process is. It's all about letting go of certain beliefs, of even relationships that aren't serving you, giving up this need to be accomplished and achievement oriented versus really leaning into the highest and fullest potential of me based on my interests and what I'm inspired by. For so long, I had been being told, oh, April, you're this. April, you're that. You should do this. And in fact, I had like all these like dangling carrots of like, come this way, work with me, and all of your loans will be paid off. In fact, that was another part of my development when I was doing a postdoc, and I was just seeing all of this greed around me and ego around me, yet didn't realize that that ego and greed was actually my ego and my greed. And once I finally decided that that pathway, that career path was not for me, I had to let that go too. I had spent 6, 7 years at this point pursuing this one thing, and I was like, I don't like this. I want to do it my way. And so I started a business. And ever since I had started this business a couple years ago, so much more has been given back to me. I surrendered that ego and I surrendered that greed. And then I got a business that actually was more than fruitful, more than abundant, and was something that I was able to have a work-life balance with, something that I could work 20 hours a week, 15, 20 hours a week and make amazing money. And I didn't believe that that could be my reality because of what people would tell me. And so that's part of the victim mindset is I was trusting other people so much about what I needed in my life. I had to let that go too. I had to let go of that, the fact that like other people don't know what's best for me. I know what's best for me. I feel like I've just been up leveling my attention to the things that I value, to the things that matter most to me. And now I'm here allowing life to move through me. And that's why I created this YouTube channel, is because like I am here to be myself. I am here to create. I am here to trust myself and do what's fun, what interests me, what inspires me. This is what I'm here for. It's about taking inspired action, not forceful action. And so this is my journey of awakening spiritually. And this is a lifelong journey. You know, you don't just go through one awakening. You're awakening in all aspects of your life. And you might even like be awake in one area of your life, and then other areas you're completely just a victim again. And so if you're still here and you resonate with the story, definitely subscribe, because I'm going to be talking more about spirituality and concepts and just, you know, my evolution, my transformation. And this is all part of it. My journey is all about me sharing my voice, trusting myself, and creating a community of people that are also trying to evolve and grow. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.